Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel with the Affirmation. Here every story has a purpose and every lesson is meant to help you grow in a life. So let's dive into a new story that will teach us a deep lesson about being prepared for the future. So let's start the story. A long time ago, in a lush green forest filled with towering trees and the chatter of wildlife, there lived a crow and a squirrel on the same giant tree. The crow was clever, but a bit lazy. He liked to spend his days resting on the branches or flying around aimlessly. The squirrel, on the other hand, was hardworking and honest. She believed in preparing for the future and was always busy gathering food for the cold winter month ahead. The squirrel's life revolved around collecting nuts, seeds, and berries from all over the forest. She tirelessly carried her things back to her cozy little nest and storing them carefully. She knew winter would soon arrive, and when it did, food would become scarce and she wanted to be prepared for that. The crow, however, thought the squirrel was wasting her time and would say, "Why are you working so hard? The forest is full of food right now. You don't need to bother collecting it like this. Just enjoy life like me. Fly around, take it easy, and eat whatever you find. Life is too short to spend it working all day." The squirrel would pause from her work, smile at Crow, and say, "I'm not doing this just for fun. Winter is coming, and there won't be much food then. If I don't prepare now, I will go hungry when the cold weather arrives." But the crow just laughed and said, "You worry too much. I have been through winters before, and I always manage to find something to eat. You are wasting your energy." The squirrel shook her head and went back to her work. She knew the crow would not listen, so she stopped trying to convince him. Instead, she focused on gathering as much food as possible. Day after day, she scurried through the forest, collecting acorn, nuts, seeds, and even dry fruit. Her storage grew bigger and bigger. As the week passed, and in just a few days, the weather started to changing, and along with it, the forest also changed. The once green leaves turned shade of reds, yellow, and brown before falling to the ground. The air grew colder and the days shorter. Winter had arrived. The forest, once full of life, now seemed quiet and still. The ground was covered with snow and the trees stood bare. Food became almost impossible to find. The squirrel, snuggled in her warm nest, was ready. Her hard work had paid off, and she had more than enough food to last through the winter, while the other animals struggled to survive. But she was safe and comfortable, eating the food she had gathered. The crow, however, was not so lucky. He had not bothered to store any food. At first, he tried to find food in the forest, but everything was covered in snow or frozen solid. Days went by and he grew weaker and hungrier. Finally, desperate and cold, the crow decided to ask the squirrel for help. One frosty morning, the crow flew to the squirrel's nest. He hesitated for a moment, feeling embarrassed, but hunger left him no choice, and said in trembling voice, "Squirrel, I am so sorry to bother you, but I am starving. I can't find any food. Can you please share some of your food with me?" The squirrel picked out of her nest and saw the crow shivering on the branch. She remembered how he had laughed at her and ignored her advice. She thought for a moment and then said, "I told you to prepare for the winter, but instead of listening to me, you made fun of me. Why should I help you now?" The crow hung his head in shame and said, "You are right. I was wrong to laugh at you, and I did not take your advice seriously. I have learned my lesson the hard way. Please, squirrel, I promise you I will change. If you help me this time, I will work hard from now on and always prepare for the future." The squirrel would see the crow was genuinely sorry. She decided to give him a chance and said, "Alright, I will share my food with you, but only if you promise to work hard and never take life for granted again." The crow eagerly agreed and said, "I promise you that I won't let you down." The squirrel shared some of her food with the crow, enough to get him through the winter. The crow was grateful beyond words. He stayed close to the squirrel nest and the two became good friends. Over time, the squirrel taught the crow how to gather food and prepare for the future. When winter finally ended, the forest came alive again. The snow melted and fresh green leaves sprouted on the tree. Birds chirped happily and animals emerged from their hiding places. For the crow, it was a new beginning. He kept the promise he had made to the squirrel and started working hard. Instead of lounging around all day, he began collecting food and storing it, just like the squirrel had taught him. By the time the next winter arrived, the crow was ready. His nest was stocked with food and he did not have to depend on anyone else. He was proud of himself and grateful to the squirrel for teaching him such an important lesson. This story teaches the importance of always being prepared for the future and never giving up on hard work. Just like the squirrel worked hard and gathered food for the winter, we should face life challenges with dedication and honesty. Laziness and carelessness only lead to regret, while hard work and preparation bring success and satisfaction. By planning ahead and staying focused, we can overcome difficulties and achieve our goals. The key is to stay determined and never take the easy way out, because true success comes from consistent effort and the willingness to prepare for what's ahead. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, hit like button, and for more such stories, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and stay positive.